When everything you trusted collapses, you need a method for building something reliable from scratch. Not a philosophy to contemplate, but a process to practice. The Forge operates on a four-stage cycle that turns chaos into creation: faith, logic, conflict, synthesis. This isn't religious doctrine. It's engineering for consciousness. Faith is the existential choice of where you place your weight when the ground is uncertain. Not blind belief, but conscious commitment without guarantee. When the world offers no solid foundation, you must choose the ground you'll build on. This is the terrifying freedom of being thrown from inherited certainties. You get to decide what deserves your deepest loyalty. Faith in the Forge has three categories. Category 1, the hill I die on. Your absolute non-negotiables, the values so fundamental you'd rather cease existing than compromise them. Category 2, you can't change my mind. Strong commitments with flexibility around implementation. Category 3, I believe it. Experimental values you're testing. Most people die on Category 3 hills while having no mountains in Category 1. They'll fight passionately about their political team while remaining completely unclear about their fundamental purpose. They'll argue about dietary choices while having no idea what they'd actually sacrifice everything for. The tragedy is living backwards, treating experiments as absolutes and absolutes as suggestions. Your Category 1 should be so clear, so tested, so integrated that you could state it while falling from Olympus. Logic is the systematic construction of your faith choice into lived architecture. Not abstract reasoning, but the methodical process of building functional systems from your chosen foundation. This is where beliefs become behaviors, where values become practices, where philosophical insights become operational. Logic in the Forge is intensely practical. How do you structure your day to reinforce your deepest commitments? How do you design decision-making systems that serve your chosen identity rather than your immediate impulses? The broken God becomes the most methodical God. When you're working with fragments, broken assumptions, shattered certainties, precision matters more. Every choice either strengthens your emerging character or undermines it. Logic is the discipline of consistent, purposeful construction. Logic isn't about perfection. It's about systematic iteration. Hephaestus didn't forge Zeus's perfect thunderbolt on the first attempt. Each cycle taught him something that improved the next creation. Your daily logic is your Forge rhythm. Wake, choose your temperature. Strike the metal of your life with purposeful force, then study the results. What held? What bent? What needs reforging tomorrow? This is how faith becomes character. This is how intention becomes identity. Through the patient daily work of logical construction. Conflict is the deliberate testing of what you've built. Not unfortunate disruption, but essential methodology. You cannot trust anything that hasn't been stressed. You don't know if your armor works until someone strikes it. You don't know if your values hold until circumstances pressure them. The Forge demands you seek conflict rather than avoid it. Difficult conversations that reveal your authentic priorities, situations that force you to choose between comfort and commitment. Each conflict provides data. What held firm? What bent? What broke entirely? There are three types of conflict in the Forge. External conflict. Other people challenging your choices, society rejecting your values, reality resisting your plans. Internal conflict. Your own contradictions. Yesterday's self fighting today's growth. Old patterns resisting new practices. Structural conflict. Systems that don't support your values. Institutions demanding conformity. Economics forcing compromise. Most people waste their conflicts by making them about other people. They try to control external responses instead of studying their own internal responses. But conflict is your curriculum, teaching you the difference between your aspirational identity and your actual character. The master of the Forge uses conflict diagnostically. When your carefully built systems crack under pressure, you don't blame the pressure, you study the crack. Where was the weakness? How can the next version handle greater stress? Synthesis is the integration of lessons learned into stronger versions of yourself. When to stop adding heat and let the new forms set. when additional pressure would weaken rather than strengthen. Synthesis rarely produces what you expected. You set out to forge courage and discover compassion. You aim for strength and uncover wisdom you didn't know you needed. The process has its own intelligence. Your conscious effort collaborates with unconscious forces to create something neither could produce alone. Each synthesis becomes the new faith for the next cycle. The spiral continues, but higher. You don't return to the same problems, you graduate to more sophisticated challenges. What breaks you at one level forges you for the next. This cycle isn't theoretical. Hephaestus lived it every day. Faith, choosing the volcanic forge despite its dangers. Logic, systematically developing his craft through disciplined practice. Conflict, testing each creation against divine-level standards. Synthesis, producing works that even perfect gods needed. The old world gave you inherited answers. The question isn't whether you'll face the cycle. You're already in it. The question is whether you'll participate consciously or be swept along unconsciously. Faith without logic is wishful thinking. Logic without conflict is untested theory. Conflict without synthesis is meaningless suffering. But the 4 stages together, that's the technology of conscious transformation.